That's where we differ on that.
Do we really want to go there?
And welcome back to another episode of When I Grow Up, where we are following the story of a young college dropout who thinks he can be successful without college. The show is built to encourage young people that there are other ways to be successful in life, even if you don't go to college. Jeff might even say that you have a better chance of being successful if you don't go to college at all. For those new listeners out there, my name is Joey, and I'm your host. I am joined by the co-founder and CEO of TSR Concrete Coatings, Jeff Gear. So I'll give him a big hand, everybody.
We get a clap this time?
Yes.
All right.
Jeff Gear. He is also the founder of this show. This whole show is his idea to inspire young people, like I said, that there are other ways to be successful in life that do not include going to college. Next to Jeff is Cowboy legend Parker McGee.
I'm a changed man with this hat, Joey.
He's a changed... I can't take you seriously.
Really going all in on Texas.
If you don't understand the cowboy hat, stop this episode right now. Go listen to the previous episode. It'll all make sense. I promise. But we are following the story of Parker McGee, who thinks he can be successful without college. He dropped out in hopes of becoming a part owner of TSR Concrete Coatings and just an overall successful entrepreneur. And TSR Concrete Coatings, again, is the largest residential concrete coating company in the nation. You already know, and undisputed champion of the universe.
I was going to call you out if you didn't say undisputed.
I was going to say it. And today, we have a very, very special guest, Jeff's mom, Stacy. Welcome to the show. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very
I
much.
feel like the listeners already know you a little bit. We've talked about you quite a bit, actually. And today, Jeff, do you want to remind the listeners why we did invite your mom on the show?
Well, was it a couple episodes ago? We called her out on like the last 5 minutes to see if she was watching the show, and she did. But she's on the show because me and my mother, we go back and forth on whether or not college is important.
So quick, how long has Jeff been your son?
Gonna be 35 years.
Is that about the same time she's been your mom, Jeff?
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually kind of a
35.
coincidence. But sorry, back to reality. So, Stacy, we want to hear from you about what were your initial thoughts raising Jeff. Let's back up. Let's go back to the beginning. I think you had a picture. Do you have that picture handy? If you don't, we can just you can just send it to me and we'll post it so people can see it. All right. But what were some of your initial thoughts when Jeff was getting into his working years and getting into his career like Blockbuster and
My career at Blockbuster.
and then thinking about going to college or thinking about not going to college? What were some of your initial thoughts? Were you like, Jeff, you're going to college, you have to go to college, it's the only way? And even if you were like that, we can talk about if you've changed. We don't know, but we just want to know. We want to know how it was for Jeff growing up.
Yeah, do tell how it was.
How it was, yes. No, I wanted all my boys to at least try college.
Why? I think we want to know why you wanted us to try college, though. That's where we differ on that.
Do we really want to go there?
Yeah, we got to.
Go.
Do you guys want to? Yeah, they're saying yes. They're all saying yes. Yep.
Okay. How old were you when I was... Wait, no. How old was I when you were born?
I was 0.
Well, yeah.
You were way too young. You were 15 or 16.
I was 16 years old whenever you were born. All due to my, own doing. I decided the day you were born that I needed to make sure that my children did not follow in my path. That's why I wanted to give you the advantages. When
You could have just bought me a business.
I could have just bought you a business. Yeah.
Blockbuster
Could have
was
just
cheap
bought
back
him a
then.
concrete kit.
Actually, he
polishing
had building blocks. He had many
Well,
building
I think that
blocks.
when you look at that though, because you were telling me a story earlier today about how I came home from school and I was upset because we had the teacher said, "What do you want to be?" And I said, "I want to be a race car." And the teacher said, "No, you can't be or I wanted to be a race car driver." And the teacher said, "You can't be a race car driver. That's not a real job." Well, it is a real job. Actually, I think people do make money doing it.
Yeah, I've heard of a few.
Yeah, but don't you think it's odd that entrepreneurship was never part of the question? It was never part of the conversation the entire time I was growing up, even through college. And I think, why? Why was it not that way? You never gave me a lemonade
Now that you
stand.
say that, you're right. We didn't have anyone in our families that had started their own business, I don't think they had even tried, as far as I know. I don't know if it was from my upbringing or Bill, my husband, that I don't think anyone had started their own business. I don't think it had come into question,
Yeah.
at all.
Was I mean, you only know what you know to some extent, right? You only know what you know,
Right.
like what you've been taught.
Right.
Were you raised in a way where you were kind of, because you're a nurse, correct? So you did go to college. You do have an education higher than high school. So were you raised in a fashion where the culture was college is the way to be successful?
No.
No. Okay.
I had the complete opposite of everything of the way that I raised my boys.
Oh, wow.
The episode of, I was listening to Parker's mom, and I was like, wow, that's the tradition in their family and how she was encouraged to go to school.
Yep.
And I did not have that. It wasn't encouraged. It
imparted,
wasn't, no. So I had decided, when I had my boys and I was on them, you're going to finish school. You are going to go to college. If you I will pay for an associate degree. If you want to go on, then you have to pay for that, because my thought process is if you're paying for it, you're going to be more apt to appreciate it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I would be more than willing to
Well,
pay
that
for the
backfired.
associate. Hey, well, who chooses a criminal justice degree without going on to law school?
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Sheriff
That's
Parker, do you want
Ding,
to
ding.
break this up a little bit for us?
No, I think that's a pretty common thing though. She talked about kind of setting Jeff ahead of where she was when she was younger, and I think my parents even said that too. And it's just weird. The default is, well, I'm gonna set you up better than I was by sending you to college. I mean, you probably could go into the trades and make decent money right away, but it's always the default is
It just does go seem to like that
college.
is what it is. Yeah.
Well,
the
no
default.
matter what's the job or the career that a parent would dream of for their child, it's the fact they want them to do better than what they did or have more than what they had. I mean, that's all I want for my kids, is for them to have success.
Yep.
So,
Well, it's a hard thing because now as I'm a parent, and I see the things that Bianca and Jackson and Natalia's 5 months old, so she's pretty much just good at eating right now. We're getting that part down, but as Bianca and Jackson are making their way through school, it's very evident that they're being taught to be employees. And that's hard to watch as a entrepreneur and things like that. Where you're not seeing a lot of, and maybe it'll come, and hopefully the school districts and the curriculum changes just a hair. But I would like to see them show some type of entrepreneurship in high school. I mean, I think they've actually taken. I mean, you guys have been to school lots, not that long ago.
Right.
But did you guys have home ec? Did you have how to balance a checkbook? How to, if I wanted to start a business, how do I go about getting an LLC? Business insurance, any of that.
We were just talking about, I was like, name 8 classes you wish you had that would, I learned, I tell everyone, I learned more at TSR than I did through school. Yeah, I was a good student, but the stuff I need to know now, I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea
You're not recalling the
what the multiplication of.
Yeah,
numbers.
I think that's great. Yeah, I think that's a great point because, like, I actually had wrote down a note here to ask Jeff. I guess to ask anyone, but I feel like do you guys think that college and traditional schooling? I think you just kind of answered it. Actually hinders you from starting a business.
I don't think that it's not progressive enough to get you to the point where you need to be. So it's funny, every week I get a call, from somebody either in the area or somebody that I used to work with in another area or all over. They're like, "Hey, this is my idea. This is what I want to do. How do I go about start setting up a business? Can you get me in touch with your, an accountant or, somebody that can help me, take care of that?" And I'm like, I think to myself, I'm like, yes, I'm always willing to help, a new entrepreneur because obviously I'd be pretty hypocrite if I didn't being on the show. But at the same time, I think it's interesting that there just really isn't a lot of resources for people to go out and start their own business.
That's true. Absolutely. And it's not actually, I mean, there are levels of business that are complex when you're running a company the size of TSR. There's a lot of complexities in there, but to actually get started, it's not that difficult to form an LLC. It's not that difficult to get your employer identification number. It's not that difficult to obtain it, and it's not that expensive to do it. A lot of people think it's unattainable. It's for, the wealthy people. It's for people who already were raised by business owners, but it's actually not that difficult to do it.
No,
Right? Yeah.
No, but I think it's a scary process. Right?
Yeah.
So like,
Unknown. 'cause
like
weren't
my
taught it.
mom probably, I will say that you and Bill didn't step, direct me one way or the other whenever we started down the business side of things. Neither. By the way, do you think my mom had the opportunity to invest in TSR, Parker?
Absolutely.
I think so. I've got to say, yeah.
Is the camera on her? Can everybody see the disappointment in the non-investment that she didn't make?
Remember when Google was cheap to invest in?
Yeah.
Same thing.
So what happened? Tell us about that. So you didn't get in the way, but you certainly didn't put up any cash to get us started. Do you regret that now?
No.
Why? Oh, come on. I saw your head go down. You might have a little bit.
No. As far as regretting not being an investor in it and making anything off of it, no. I always felt that my job as your mom and the businesses that you have started with your previous business, you were gone all the time. You had children.
Yeah.
What was my part in it?
Well, you watch the kids.
I watched the kids.
Yeah.
Which I think that's a really
And
big
I thought
big deal,
that was the best way that I could support you at the time was, and plus I got to spend extra time with the
yeah.
kids.
Grandbabies, yeah.
Now, being here, I'm hoping that the role that I'm doing is allowing you to do the opposite, that it's giving you more time at home. So you can actually spend more time with your kids, be home when they get home from school, and
Yeah, I think I've been able to do that, especially, COVID is kind of a funny thing because it forces you to think outside the box. And, we put the home office in and it's allowed me and Sarah to stay home, especially with having another little one. So it's like, I actually get more done there than I do here because I walk through that front door and I'm like, bam, I get bombarded with all kinds of things.
Jeff.
Yeah. And, then I can go home. I can actually focus. I got 2 giant computer monitors.
Yes, you do.
I got like six windows open. I'm working like a madman. So, no, it's been, we thank you for that, for being able to be there for the kids. Whenever I'm not able to, for one reason or the other, but
Right.
I feel like it's taken, I'm going to be 35. It's really taken 12 to 15 years to get, through building all of these organizations to get my life stable enough that I can be home at 5, And
Wow.
now, yeah. Yeah, Joey's like, oh man.
I think that's a pretty common thing too, though. People underestimate how long it actually takes to build something that can provide for your family.
Yeah, and Jeff, you're young, but I don't think a lot of people think of how long you've been at it, like how early you
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, this is not a short game for me. This is been doing this for a long time. I spent a lot of time, even before I owned a business, when I was working for somebody else in Green Bay and St. Louis and Des Moines, and I was gone on the road 4 or 5 nights a week, and I was coming home for the weekends and then leaving again. Like that's not fun. But I've also, when we build our organizations now, because I know that I had to do that and I don't want that for any of our employees, I refuse to do that. If you notice, when we open a TSR, we service that area, services that area. And everybody gets to come home every night.
Ah, that's true.
With rare exception, like when Justin was out in Arizona
Sure.
for a week. But that was, that's not every week. He
Yep, that's
does
just
that.
to get it started and get it planted. Yep.
Yeah, so it's nice that we're able to, because of my experiences, we're able to combat that.
Yeah. So Stacy, I have a question for you. Now, so you were a nurse. That was you're still a nurse,
Yes,
right?
still a nurse.
But that was your profession. That's what you did every day for how many years?
Over 20 years.
Wow. So now you're working for your son, who, when Jeff came to you, he's like, "I've got this great idea, Mom. We're gonna polish rocks. We're gonna paint cement floors. I promise you, it'll be huge." And I don't know. I can't say if I were in your shoes, and we definitely did not bring you on the show to bash you or anything of that matter at all. But I can't say if I was in your shoes what I would have done. So I'm not going to pretend to do that. But now that you're working for Jeff, are you happy that he did make some of his own decisions that were a little bit counter his education and counter what he learned in school? Are you happy that he did make those decisions for himself?
I do. I am. I always wanted my boys to have some type of autonomy in their decisions, whether it's their education, whether it's their careers, families, whatever decisions. I want it to be their decision and their decision, only. I'll be there as a soundboard, to listen. I don't think I've ever really told you, I want you to do this. You need to do this with your business, or why did you make that decision? I don't think I've ever
I think
questioned.
you tried that once.
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 What I'll say is, like, going from high school to college, because it was way more important for you than it was to me. And because my stepdad was a cop, and I don't think that there was ever another profession even discussed.
For you?
Yeah.
You just thought,
I mean, it was
what else am I gonna
Blockbuster
do?
or a cop, like right out of the gate.
Which Jeff was watching the market and
As
he knew
your
it was going down.
decision.
So
Well, but that's the hard part, and I think that's what is maybe a little frustrating. Not that I'm blaming you guys, but it's like, how do you really know? Like clearly, I don't take direction very well, and that's a job that does require you listening to other people.
yep.
So it was just kind of funny, as I think about 15 plus years ago, like that was probably a bad move.
Yeah. For you, probably.
We didn't want you to be a cop. You do realize that, right?
Yeah, but I don't. You hear this? But what else was there?
We've never
But
supported.
what
no, I'm
else
just
was
kidding.
there?
Yeah.
Again, you got a criminal justice degree. I'll be perfectly honest
Very
with
fast, mind you. I just want you to know I got it really fast.
How quick?
3 years.
4-year degree in 3 years.
you. Yes.
I got a 4-year degree in 5 years, so beat
The
that.
way he always argued with me as a child about everything, I just assumed that he would become a lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
My lawyer just recently told me I would make a good lawyer.
See, I told you. I told you. I just assumed
going back
that's
to
what.
college?
Yes, I thought
No.
that's what you would end up doing at some point, but no.
No, I couldn't do
No.
it. I couldn't sit in the courtroom. I think I'm. This face doesn't hide emotion very well, and I would. Yeah, that's exactly what would happen.
Oh yeah? No, I'm saying.
No, it wouldn't have worked out well. So, I think that the hard part for me though is that I, do I absolutely enjoy doing concrete coatings every day? No. I mean, Cap, you love it every day? You guys, every day? Yeah.
He does.
Yeah. I just wish you could experience more things, right?
Yeah.
You're a young person. You're 18 to 22 years old. You have no fucking clue what you want to do. And I just wish there was more resources out there for people to be able to try things, without, fully committing to a $40,000, $80,000 degree in this one specific area.
Yeah. And to that point, we were talking a little bit before the show. I do have some questions for Parker here in a minute. We will get to Parker. I know we're following the story of Parker, but the show's bigger than him, right?
I'm actually kind of liking this right now.
Okay, cool.
Kinda like it.
So, Stacy, we were talking a little bit before the show, and you'd kind of mentioned, I'm not going to take all your words from you, but you mentioned that it is really cool to see all of the opportunities that Jeff has created
Yes.
for other people that don't have college degrees.
Exactly. Because since I've been here and kind of in the middle of everything, and I can see all the different areas from sales to production to the marketing, and I do the payroll.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that many people actually, that don't have a college degree, that they're provided with a job that they can make enough money to provide for their families. They're not making minimum wage here.
Right.
I mean, that's what's really nice to see. You didn't go the cheap way. Let's put it that way.
No, but when me and Tyler sat down and we said, this is what we're going to do, I remember the first time me and Tyler did a concrete coating on a floor. Said, not a fucking chance in hell will I do this for less than $17 an hour. Wasn't going to happen. And back then, almost 5 years ago, $17 an hour was
$25 an hour probably.
well, it was kind of unheard of around here for anybody
True.
to be paying that kind of money.
Yep.
And even I don't even know what's minimum wage now. I don't even know,
$11?
10 or 11.
Something like that. Yeah.
I mean, we're still so far above that. Now all of our raises come at our next level position and team
Right.
leader positions like what Parker's in. We don't give raises to the guys that started at 17. They gotta move into another position. That's entry level.
Oh, wow.
But we're able to provide jobs that pay 40, 50, 60, 70, $80,000, because we want the best quality people working for us. So
That's awesome. So, yeah, and we were talking because that is really cool. I don't know that college really sets people up. I don't want to completely bash on college because you do need it for some professions, to become a nurse, to become a lawyer, to become a doctor,
Right.
engineer, but it doesn't really set you up to make opportunities for others. It's very self-centered. It's very focused on yourself and how you are providing for yourself and your family. It very much teaches you how to properly manage debt, how to be a slave. And I'm going to go there for a second because a lot of people don't realize that slavery is simply you have to work for someone to an extent, right? There's forced slavery and there's illegal actions that took place, but to an extent, even in biblical times and times in the past, that where slavery was simply you owed a person money. You were indebted to them.
indentured servitude.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You were indebted to that person and you did not have enough money to pay them to get out of it. So you had to trade labor for it, right? And you would eventually be able to work it off. And some people were treated well by their owners or the people that they were employed by, and they wanted to stay slaves. And they were called free slaves. So they were free to go, but they enjoyed what they were doing at least, or they felt secure in that job. And if you think about it, people, it's different now because you don't owe your employer necessarily. You don't straight up owe your employer and you have to work for that employer. So there are some different things, especially in America. But if you have a mortgage and you have a car payment and you have all these payments and you know how to manage that debt, you are still a slave because you have to get up to make sure you can go work to pay those bills. So even though you may think you're not, if you think about it, if you go to a job you don't actually want to go to because you have to get the money to pay the things that you owe on, I would say you're a slave.
Well, to that point, now you're taking very young people, 18 to 22-year-old people, and I don't want to say that you're forcing debt on them.
Right, you're not.
Because they are choosing and making the decision, right? But you're taking very young people, you're forcing massive amounts of debt on them if they're
Highly encouraging it, yep.
If their parents aren't paying for it, and then they get out of work or they get out of college, and now all of a sudden they have to pay this $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 loan back. It's a lot of these people that we know are paying back mortgages, right?
Yeah, basically the size of a mortgage, Yeah, so all that to say,
and some of those people have the same degree that she has.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
I paid, excuse me, my husband, I'm going to give him credit. My
Shout out,
husband
Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
paid for
We
my
know you watch these
college
episodes, Bill. Thank you.
as I went. So whenever I got out, I did not have any
That's
debt.
awesome. And that's an awesome way to do it.
It's so weird for me to hear people talk about college debt too, and like how they're still paying it off. And I'm just like, I don't have any.
Yeah.
I don't have any. No, but it's just kind of weird for me to hear because I don't really know that so-called pain. But yeah, it's just kind of a little weird for me to hear that.
Well, think about the you want to talk about the pain of it. The pain of it is that had you done it and your mom and dad hadn't paid for it and you did it for 4 years, your student loan debt would have been close to $90,000, right?
Yeah,
roughly somewhere in there, $90,000. So if you want to extrapolate that out a hair, it roughly comes out to somewhere between like I would venture to guess, depending on how you set up the loan,
$700, $600 a month, maybe.
yeah, for the rest of your fucking life.
Yeah,
if
for
you
a
did it,
long
if you did it
time.
that way,
Yeah.
you could double down on it and get it done in, half the amount of time and, be like in the $1,300, $1,400 range. But that's a huge payment. That's a house payment, for some people at $700, $800 a month. I mean, my first house payment was $750 a month. That seemed like a mountain.
Yeah. But the point really is here that you're starting behind when it's marketed that it's giving you a foot, like a leg up, right?
Right.
It's marketed as it's putting you ahead, but you're really starting behind. And when you're in debt and you need a new car, the way to get a new car is more debt. And so you're just getting real good at making those payments and managing that debt, right? And it's not a
Cap's
fun
over there
way.
like this. He's so right.
It's just not a fun way to live life. It's not a free way. And when you don't have money, right? When you're in debt, you're self-centered. You have to be. You have to be thinking about, how am I going to make this payment? You're not, you can never get to a level where you're thinking about, how do I create an opportunity for another person? You just can't, because you don't even know how you're going to create an opportunity for yourself.
Well, I think there's some mental barriers too, right?
Yep.
So, growing up in the family that we were in, 6 figures was a big deal, right?
I feel like to most people still. Yeah.
But it was like a mental roadblock for me. Like, there's no way. Like, it is impossible to ever make $100,000. Like,
Even if you up your late fees at Blockbuster.
yeah,
It's
yeah, and I put them straight in my pocket. I still couldn't get it. So I think that it's, it was a mental roadblock because you had never made $100,000. Up at that point, I don't believe Bill was making that, and it wasn't until he was closer to retirement that he was making it. And I remember my very first sales job. Me and Bill, we would compare at the end of the year. on where we did it. In the first year in sales, he beat me by like $4,000. And I was pissed. But I came back hard the next year, and it's like, and I think there's also like this transition, right, of the new breadwinner in the family. And I will say Bill handled that so graciously that I don't know if Jackson did that to me, how I could do it. Because I'm so competitive, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine doing that to Steve?
Me and my
He
dad.
thinks about it every night.
No, me and my
I'd be like, no, I'm not. That's never going to happen again.
He'd have to up it. He'd have to own the
But
business.
like I said, that's as a parent, we want to see our children succeed to go beyond what we have had or have. We want you to do better than we did.
Yeah, but it was like and I appreciate it. It's like, but that was like my benchmark. I'm like,
100K.
like this is where it's got to be. Like this is how I have to get to this point. And then once I got there, I was like, man,
500. Here we come.
no, that was easy, right? Like
Yep.
getting to that point. But then it became less about what my personal income was, and it was more about how many opportunities can I create, right? Because I knew that if I only created an opportunity for myself, or if I was the only person on the road at that time, well, then at that time, my entire family's income was going to be based upon whether or not I was in this car.
Wow, that's a wake up call.
Yeah, well, it's because I got sick and I was at home for a week and I didn't get paid. I was like, well, this sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, everything. Yeah, you don't want to put yourself in a position where everything's dependent on just your ability to, make something. That's not a wise investment of your time, right? It's not.
No.
It's not even healthy. You'll kill yourself young doing that. And I would say, would you say that when you started? I don't know that. I don't want to say you were ever focused on just yourself, but you're kind of taught to just be focused on yourself and how you can make a living for yourself. But when you started focusing on creating opportunities for other people, would you say that is when you started getting the most opportunities for yourself also?
Yeah, but it's a really hard thing to do, right? Because it took me in sales, and I probably learned it way, way sooner than most people do. But remember, I was working at Erie, and they were like, "Hey, we want you to be a sales manager." I'm like, I am the top sales rep. Fuck that job. Like, I turned it down like 3 times. And then finally they were like, you will be the sales manager or we're done. Like we're going to close this office. Like we need somebody reliable out here. Like that's what they told me. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, I guess I got to keep my job. Yeah. So then I started recruiting, hiring, and training sales reps to do exactly what I did. And I was like, now I got it. Like this once I learned that my income wasn't solely going to be dependent on everything that I did every single day. What I realized very quickly once they put me in that position is I was like, I just got to create 6 Jeffs.
Yep, that's exactly right. And your opportunities increase from there, and more people get opportunities.
Yeah.
So it's like it's benefiting you and benefiting other people, even though when you're so like laser focused on your own opportunity, it's hard to see, it's hard to see past that. So,
well, in most companies, whether we all want to admit it or not, are various forms of multi-level marketing companies.
true.
We're all Sensi at the end of the day.
Mary Kay. Yeah.
I've never done any of those, but my experience, doing this makes me kind of feel like what you just said. Like, I'm assuming that the way that those work is you have one person and then they have multiple people under them. It's, if you look at most corporate structures.
If you draw it, it kind of looks like a pyramid.
Yeah.
Yep. If you draw it on paper.
Yeah. It's a pyramid scheme. Okay. So what's Amazon? Starts at Bezos. Well, not anymore, but he's retired. But now
It's like a legal pyramid scheme because people are getting paid in it. Like, to an extent. Anyway.
I mean, we could not.
Sorry, Jeff.
We could
Bezos. But
You don't want him to bring the heat down on you, or
no,
what?
I don't. I like the 2-day shipping. But Parker, we haven't heard from you. I know this episode is focused a lot on Stacy and Jeff, but we want to hear from you. What are what are your thoughts hearing all this? Do you, I assume I guess I don't assume, but you probably want to have a family someday, right?
No, I think I've heard both sides. I always hear what Jeff thinks, and I've heard what my mom thinks, which is pretty close to the same line. No, but I think it's all about, it's that thought of making money while you sleep, right? If you don't have to be out there and giving your time for $1, if you can sleep and make $10, why wouldn't you, right? It's all about maximizing the amount of money you can make in the shortest amount of time you can do it in.
Why is that your philosophy? What's your bottom line?
I've always been told work smarter, not harder, and I like to work hard too. But
Just because you want a yacht, or is there a deeper reason?
No, I would say I grew up in my parents had good enough jobs to where they can give me stuff. If I wanted a new pair of shoes, they could be like, "Hey, I'll get you a new pair of shoes for your birthday." I want to do kind of the same thing for my children, hopefully one day. So that kind of encourages me to do it.
So you're not just thinking like, how can I benefit myself? Do you have a mentality in you like Jeff, where you do want to create opportunities for other people as well, or?
Yeah,
because not everybody has that, and I guess I don't know that everybody has to have that, but or do you think similarly to Jeff like that, and do you see a benefit to that?
No, I was talking to my dad probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was actually telling me, he was telling Jeff, he's like, you should make as many people millionaires as you possibly could. And I'm like, that's kind of an interesting take, because if you could have $1 million or make 8 people millionaires, I'm like, that's kind of an accomplishment if you look at it. So definitely. I thought that was really an interesting take, and that kind of encouraged me to be like, hey, yeah, maybe we should put food on the table for not only my family, but 30 other different families.
Well, it's funny that we talk about that, because we just had a scenario happen where it was a little contentious. So our second employee ever, Sean Dunn, actually resigned his position, and he is going to start his own company in Arizona. So ironically in Phoenix, where we're going with our new office. And I think first take, a lot of the people at TSR, including myself and my business partner, Tyler, at first glance, everybody's pretty upset, right, Ma?
Definitely.
Yes. But
Is he starting the same business?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So obviously there's a lot of like TSR loyalty. It's a whole TSR nation. Like nobody ever thought that Sean Dunn would ever be wearing different colors. Like he would always be riding with us. And the more that I've thought about it over the last couple of days, and I had an opportunity to talk to Sean on the phone, and I think the biggest compliment that I can get from somebody, despite how bad it hurts, is for that person to have the balls to go start their company.
Wow.
And if I can create or a means or an opportunity by which somebody feels that they are good and strong enough to go out and do that, like that's huge.
Yeah.
Even though it sucks.
Yeah. Well, you kind of paved the way, though. You kind of pioneered that this was possible in his mind, right? Like he's looking around every day and seeing like something that started in a garage is now this, and he's, it's kind of hard to ignore it.
Well, the funny thing about Sean is he jokes around a lot, right? So I think he felt a little slighted that we didn't ask him to do the Phoenix location.
Oh, okay.
In my mind, it didn't make sense. He has a house here, he's got a lot of family here and that kind of stuff. So he has mentioned it a few times, but I didn't I didn't think he was serious, because Sean's constantly fucking around. Like he just never stops joking. So, and I think he maybe felt a little slighted by the fact that we didn't approach him, which maybe is my mistake. But at the end of the day, like to me, it's a huge compliment that he is going out on his own and starting his own business. And I mean, what a risk, right?
Yeah,
like you're leaving here. Like he's leaving here and going to Phoenix too. So it's like, holy cow, like huge balls, right? Like I mean, you're really like putting everything on the line. So I think that's a huge compliment. And, I think everybody at TSR, should feel, we hope that he has success there. We know that he will. He has the talent level to do it. But it's the same thing that we were just talking about. Like, you want to make as many people successful as possible, even if they aren't on your same pirate ship.
Yep. Pirate ship. That's interesting. We might have a pirate ship video coming up soon for you guys to see. We'll talk about that later.
We do actually have a
Yeah, there's a
I
concept.
know what you're talking about.
I was talking with Justice just before the show. Actually, we got a plan in place. But anyway, we are now going to start keeping these episodes a little bit shorter because we want to respect your guys' time and give you as much information as concisely as possible. Thank you so much for sticking around with us for this episode. Thank you again so much, Stacy, for being on the show. A good takeaway for everybody on the show is you don't always know what you don't know, right? Stacy had what she knew and what she was taught and what the culture said, and she wanted a better life for her kids. Nobody can blame somebody for wanting them to their kids to have a better life than they did. I think everybody wants to pass down better, right? Nobody can blame Parker's parents for wanting him to have a better life by setting him up. They wanted to be successful so they could send all their kids to college. Nobody can blame them. Nobody could blame Jeff for this show and wanting people to have a better experience than he had, right? Nobody can blame the opportunity that he's giving Parker. And at the end of the day, each person is responsible for their own choices. So I hope that you guys listening, no matter what age you're at or no matter what stage in life you're at, I hope that you guys can really take away that, yes, there are influences in your life, but at the end of the day, you have to make your own decisions. You have to weigh the decisions. You can't just do what you're told. School will teach you that. They'll teach you to do what you're told. They'll teach you to look up to your teacher, turn in an assignment, get a good grade. Then you'll do the same thing at work, right? You cannot just live your entire lives based on other people's opinions. At some point, you have to take responsibility for your own actions. I know it's hard because it's easier to blame other people for why your life isn't working out, but you have to take that opportunity to just really reflect on what you actually want to do, the differences you want to make, the impacts you want to have. And then the second large point I would say is when you're more focused on other people's opportunity than your own is when your own opportunities will increase. And do you guys have any closing thoughts?
You're the guest, Mom. Go for it.
Any closing thoughts?
Well, I never thought I would be on an episode of When I Grow Up and realize that I quit my career and I'm working for my son.
That's an accomplishment right there. You created an opportunity
Yes.
for the woman who gave you a lot of opportunities. That's got to feel okay. That's got to feel good.
It does.
That's awesome.
It helps to have a different set of eyes watching over things that, she'll always have me and Tyler's best interest. So it's like having an extra Jeff around.
Yep. Stop crying over there, Parker. Bring the hat down. We know. But Stacy, I think it's very safe to say that everyone here at TSR appreciates you. It's great to always see your smiling face when we walk through these doors.
Well, thank you.
Ever since David and I started setting up these podcasts, you're the first person we see every time. You always make us feel very welcome. Jeff, I'm sure you love having your mom in your business and working with you.
Yeah, she's all up in my business all the time.
So thank you again, Stacy. Thank you, Jeff, Parker, as always. Sean, who people can't see right now. Could you turn that camera on him, Dave? Just so people can see him, so that they don't think we're all just talking to somebody in the corner.
Yeah, Sean is available and single.
Is that true?
On Tinder.
This camera right here.
What are the other ones he's on?
Facebook.
He's on Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, multiple other social media
Look at that
dating sites.
jawline.
And what else are you on? Tinder. There's a couple other ones. Right? Is Plenty of Fish still a thing? Is that a thing?
He will be a professional bodybuilder too in the coming weeks. That's,
Wow.
that's
Sean
crazy.
actually sent me a picture of him sitting down at the gym watching Parker work out. I was
That's how you become. That's how you become a bodybuilder.
I was like, Sean, if you're going to go to the gym to watch Parker work out, you could pick the weights up yourself.
What can we expect on the next episode? I know we're about to ramp up into the busy season, right?
Yeah.
We're getting real close to that.
Yeah, so we're 30 days away from all hell breaking loose. It's crazy because there's material constraints. Texas just got blasted with cold air, and apparently their infrastructure wasn't built for 0 degrees.
I'm glad my product was not in that warehouse.
Yeah. So it would have been a little difficult for you this last 2 weeks, huh? So we have some challenges coming up.
Yep.
Me and Parker have talked about, what is going to be the course of action, for him to go to Texas. He thought it was a good idea to go in June. I disagree. It's going to be, how hot is Texas in June and July, Mom?
It's really hot. Yeah, at minimum 115 in the shade.
So we're going to look to get him and maybe his boyfriend Cap down at the same time.
Wow.
In mid to late August, so that they're ready, for September.
Nice. Okay.
To get going. So we're excited about that. And,
Love it.
And then Parker's gonna work to replace himself where he's at.
I should probably go down to help them get their office set up. I don't know, November, December-ish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it gets cold here.
Yes.
I'm sure.
Well, there you have it, folks. We know that Parker and Sean now have to save their money to buy a second cowboy hat, so they will be pinching pennies for that because Cap may be joining Parker in Texas here coming up soon. Stay tuned for the next episode where we are going to talk about the challenges ahead and the path forward and the plan for Parker. We're going to hear a lot more from Parker in the next episode. I absolutely guarantee that. I'm going to have a lot of questions strictly directed towards Parker. Again, one more time, let's give it up for Stacy for being on the show. And everybody, Kat for always being in the room, DJ David for always holding it down, Parker for just, being you.
Wearing the cowboy hat.
Wearing the hat.
Please don't edit out the part about Sean. I want to get him a date by the next time.
That would be really sweet.
Hey, can we get David one though? Why hasn't David been mentioned?
He's always mentioned.
David,
Are you single right now, David?
So you and Cap we might be able to double date this.
I don't want to set them up together.
Oh no,
Is that what you're getting at?
no, absolutely not.
Sean, quit nodding your head, bro. Like this is not that kind of show, okay? This is for families, all right? So anyway, as always, this has been another episode of When I Grow Up. Gentlemen, ladies, we will see you all on the next episode.